Hello, everybody. It's me again, Josh the funkdoc, and we're doing another two-player game against teokop, this time on France. Teokop's one of the players who's more consistently around at the hours that I can actually play and willing to do two-player, so... I'll bid 5 in the 4 plant because I want teokop to pay 6 for it. 6 is more than I would pay for it personally. I feel like 5 is a fair price for the 4 in two-player games typically, barring some really exceptional maps. But yeah, and I'll go ahead and get my 3 again so I can play the turn order game from here. We know that 11 is going to be the next plant in because it's France. Plant 13 is removed from the game on France, and in its place, 11 is always the first plant drawn after the 10. So we know 11 will always be in the game and always be available early. 27 goes under the deck. All right. Where to build here? Because this is kind of an expensive France here. Actually, this is a really... By France standards, this is really expensive. None of the cheap regions around Paris are there. So... this is interesting. You don't want to build up near Paris because you corner yourself too much. That's my thought. You don't want to go too near Paris, but at the same time, you don't want to go too far away from Paris either. I have a hunch Limoges might be the build here. Early cities are not cheap for that, though. With Clermont's a little bit cheaper, but also a little easy. It's also a lot easier to get blocked if you start in Clermont. Opponent can go Limoges and Tours or something. So overall, I think Limoges is the build here. Not positive about that, though. This is not a config I have much experience with. And yeah, opponent goes for all the cheap cities in Paris early. That's going to be a nice advantage for them. My goal is to win the builds getting more overall cities. 39 comes out after 27 goes under. I think La Rochelle should be my next build. That's like the next cheapest city that my opponent can get that actually expands them. As per usual, I'll buy the maximum coal in order to punish my opponent's 8, and then buy just the 2 oil. Because my opponent doesn't have oil, there's no pressure on oil other than from me, so I don't need to drive up the price on it. Actually, La Rochelle doesn't get my opponent too much. Clermont's the better build here. Because if my opponent goes La Rochelle, I could just go Bordeaux and still lock up most of red for myself there. So 11, 14 and 31 came. So 14 is really bad news for this market's viability. That's a plant that's just a massive blocker when it appears early. And now 17 on 2. Even on France, people are not going to want to buy 17 typically. So I will be very glad to buy the 10 here because I have a feeling we're going to be using the 10 for a while in this game. Lyon has to be my next city, so I want to leave my options open here. Because I need to get to Lyon and then Dijon before my opponent does. Hmm. I think I am not going to build this turn. Because next turn we're going to have the 11 and there is going to be a fight for it. And I'm buying more coal now since I'm going up to the top. And teokop is no reason to build either. For sure. 11, 14, 17, 31, 34. 34 goes under the deck. And 19, yeah, this is an awful market. So 11 is going to be worth a lot of money here. Like, this will be worth... Wow, I think my opponent gave up the 11 to me way too easily. Problem is, I cannot get to 4 cities this turn. An opponent buys a 7, which makes sense. They're going to punish my oil here. But I will instead preserve my coal, build to 3. Preserve my coal and actually run oil instead. I need to get to Leon. That has to be next for me. Ooh, opponent goes for the big plays in red. All right. And I will burn my oil and uranium to power 3. So I may be behind on money now, but the big deal is my opponent is going to lose the efficiency war the longer this stays on. Like, they have to buy 17, which is really bad. And I'm going to pass because I don't have a reason to push the plant market further here. Not at all. And in me getting into Dijon, that actually gives me this direct connection to Paris, which is a lot more useful than it might look. That's putting pressure on my opponent to build into their cheap stuff instead of expanding further into red. Nice thing is, I will definitely buy 2 uranium to drive up their price there. Because now my opponent is buying the 7, they're going to rely on their own oil. So I locked up all of yellow for myself here, basically. Problem is I'd only be sitting at 9 cities. I need to make a jump somewhere. I either jump into Paris or I jump into... Which I'm not going to jump into Paris now, I'm going to jump into red. Jumping into Toulouse will be my next option here. So opponent built to 6 cities to get the 6th plant off the market, which is absolutely the correct play for them. 30 and 36 came. I missed a bunch of those plants. I have a bunch of cheap coal stored at the bottom, so I will put in like a bid on the 20. No! Oh my god, I didn't see teokop bidding 30 for it. I probably overpaid for this. Or wait, no, actually. $26 comes on. Okay. The problem is with these expensive cities in France, the 20, like, we're gonna have a longer game here, and that's going to hurt the 20 more in the long run. What I think we do is, do we actually buy 24? Do we actually buy 24? That seems really shitty in this situation. But at the same time, I kind of feel like we have to move the market here. And I have to build Toulouse. We know I have to build Toulouse. So I only have $8 with which to buy shit. Which means I will buy a uranium and a coal. Actually, no, I can't even buy coal. Right? Yeah, because I risked losing resources on the 5. So I can only buy the 1 uranium here. Try to drive up that price for teokop. And then I have to build Toulouse. That's a must for me not to get bodied on the builds here. Teokop not building. Okay, so they're not as rich as I thought they might be. $36 goes under, 23 comes on. And I forgot to... No, I did mark off 26, so that's good. And 29 comes on after we both pass and the 9 gets removed from the game. All right. So I can get up to 7 cities this turn. Which, I mean, 8 would be ideal for me, really. But... all right. All right, because I have to build lords, and I have to build Besancon. That's where I go next. That leaves me with 22 for shit. Because I do kind of need to attack the oil here. Yeah, okay. I want to let trash get a little cheaper before I start firing the 24, I think. But I'm not looking so good in this game. 20 might actually pay off here. Grenoble would be my next most important city. I'll burn oil on the 5. Keep trying to make money. This is actually really dreamy for me if I can get this plant. Because let me see. There's still a lot of bad stuff potentially left in the deck. I forgot to mark off 24. And 42 came. Okay. I feel like there's a decent chance of a market stall going on here. All right. Let me do the math on this. 28's not the greatest thing in the world for me if it drops. Most likely drop here is 28. 21 and 25 would be amazing for me. And there's others like 18 would be okay. There's a lot of bad stuff too. Oil could be really cheap in this game, so I'll keep bidding on this. And then motherfucker 25 comes. This has been the story of my 2-player games lately. It's just I pay fair value for a big plant, and then another monster immediately drops to my opponent afterward. That's really what's going on in this game. I have to start burning coal on the 10. Because the 10 is the next plant that's a candidate to get replaced. And then 21 comes. You gotta face a question with this. Because here's the problem. I mean, if opponent's gonna get 25 and 21 at cost, they just win. Okay, now I'm making teokop pay. I'm fine with that. $42 went under the deck, and then 38 came. Okay. We've seen 36 and 38, 2 of the... See, this is why I'm glad to keep the 10 running, actually. This is why I'm glad to keep the 10 running. I'll let trash get cheaper. And they can only buy one more oil. They don't really need to get another oil in this situation. Well, maybe. I'll get to 9 cities now, though. And those will be Saint-Etienne and Grenoble. Because I think I'm going to be set up better for long-term efficiency. $38 goes out. $37 in. No need for any of these plants. 50 has come. So we know that's going under the deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're almost to step 3 already. We are almost to step 3. All right. Which means... I'll actually buy a couple trash here. Because I can build a 12 cities. I can just absolutely body my opponent in the builds here. That is if they don't jump. Which they don't? Okay. I will press my money advantage here. So 50's not even going out then. Okay. So that's really good, actually, that 50 stays in the game. Because, yeah, we get plants like 30, 50. So I don't need to worry too much about coal in this situation. We'll put 50 up for bid, for sure. So I drove up my own uranium price for no good reason. I think that buy was a mistake for teokop, unless they're actually rich enough to end the game. Because... in retrospect, I should have seen 30 coming on the market and stored trash on 24. Okay. That 25 drop is just going to be such a winner for teokop, though. Although, teokop has kind of thrown away the money lead with buying these extra plants. Like, the 30 buy in particular, I question, because now teokop will need one more plant. Teokop could have stayed low in the turn order, gotten 36, and just, you know, been able to end the game there. Also, in retrospect, I made a mistake with these resource purchases. I'm very, very glad about 50, by the way. Also, buying trash was kind of a mistake, but then again, kind of not. I don't know. Ooh, this is interesting now. Well, not really, because teokop, let's see, they need one. They have coal 25. They would just need 2 coal to run the 20. And at most, I can only buy out 6 coal. Yeah, I can't really threaten their coal here. The nice thing is, these are all bad plants for teokop, and teokop needs capacity. There's none of the cheap, efficient, like 5 capacity plants, so I'm just passing in all this garbage. Oh, right, 31 to replace the 20. That actually makes a lot of sense. So the deal is, teokop can either end the game this turn or they can't. And I can't end the game this turn. I think I just have to pass on a plant, stay, and just take my chances with the market next turn. Problem is, let me see what all's come. 31 came, 34, which 34 was a plant, you know, teokop might have been able to use. 36 came, 42, 39 is the only real, like, primo plant left here. I think I just have to pass on a plant, stay low, and hope 39 or 40 comes for me. I just need to drive up prices for the 30. Unless they can actually end the game this turn, which it looks like maybe they can. If they can end it, more power to them. They can't. Okay, this is interesting now. Although they don't have to buy a plant anymore, and I do, so they're probably still going to win on money next turn. The problem is, they face a tough decision on what plants to fire. Now, unfortunately, I can't really threaten a coal buyout here. Okay. What do you think about this? 2. So it's 12 versus 15 cities to fire. So I gain $16. Yeah, okay, 26 is worth firing. What's the question? The question is 40 or 42. Or actually, could 36 even be better than those choices? Because, so I pay 9 for raw materials there. So 9 plus 42 is 51. 36 plus 14. So actually in this scenario, $36 ends up being the best plant for me to buy. It's just $1 cheaper for me personally than the 42, and will also hurt teokop more since he has to buy coal. So I think I net gain a few bucks from the 36 idea because it drives up the coal price a little more for teokop here. Pretty sure I still lose, though. Though I do have Paris left among my cities, whereas my opponent's remaining cities are a little bit more expensive. I do have some more expensive cities myself, though, so, yeah. I like that my opponent's taking this long to think. It might mean they can't end the game. Although I find that very hard to believe since they built to frickin' 19 last turn. I don't know what there is to think about here. This should just be buy 2 coal, 2 oil, 3 trash, and you go. teokop could have avoided this if they'd stored coal. If they had stored coal in the previous turn, then 40 would have been the more cost-effective plant for me. That 25 at cost is going to give the game to teokop, though, I feel. Yep, I was right. Pretty close, though. This is another game where it ended up being pretty close in spite of a just killer plant drop that I gave to my opponent. The 25 coming out of nowhere after the 26 bidding. That was where the game was decided, but I do feel good that I managed to make it as close as I did. I don't really regret paying for 26 because the board was shaping up for a potential big market stall. So, I'll take that. Good game, and see you later.